Welcome everybody to Mom Street USA. My name is Kate, aka the Disney Cicerone, and with me, as always, is the wonderful Jackie, aka Wishes Mama. And tonight we're going to be finishing our Disney Cruise Line series as part 4, which is all about Disney Cruise Line tips and hacks to make your cruise even better for your family. So, Jackie, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I had so much fun reading some of the tips and hacks that you put in there because I am a total newbie, right? We've talked about in this series that I've never been on a cruise, let alone a Disney cruise. So it was fun for me to read about some of the little nuances that we're going to share with you guys for this episode. So I'm excited to dive in and give you guys all this really good information.
Yeah, and we have it definitely. I've reached out to some of my Disney cruising friends for some of these, and it was really fun to get the feedback in from it. People that go a lot on cruising and like what the things that they put in that I wouldn't have thought before. So we
Yeah.
definitely have some cruise expert information in here that I think will be really helpful for people.
Perfect. Shall we just dive on into the
Yeah, let's
first
do it.
topic? Okay, perfect. So, like Kate said, we're going to talk all things tips and hacks. So, we're kind of going to hop around in some different categories, but hopefully, you guys will find all of this information super helpful. And I think we're going to start in the rooms. So, Kate, what do we need to know about the rooms?
Yeah, so let's go to some room hacks. The first thing is something that I think newbie cruisers that have never done it before don't realize it's something you can do, which is decorate your door because the doors are
Oh,
magnetic. So you can go and there's lots of things that there's free printables and stuff out there that you can do that you can even like laminate and put magnets on the back. A lot of people get things on Etsy. Some people will personalize it with their family's names. They'll make it look like the door number is like a face and they'll put Mickey ears on it.
oh, that's so
Isn't it
fun.
cute? And it's like something that I think a lot of new cruisers go and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like look at that cute door. Like how come we didn't know we needed to do that, you know?"
Yeah,
And I also will say though, a lot of people do put their family names on it. Just be aware for safety for
right.
your kids and
Yes,
stuff too. So not people don't always think of that. So
right.
I personally don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so there's other things you can also put on your door besides just like really fun stickers. Like this person has an actual kind of sewn thing that they stuck dum-dums into so people
Oh my
could take
gosh.
candy off the door, which is kind of fun.
What?
I
That's
know, I'm like, how
amazing.
cool is that to kind of like bless people with that? Some people will also put whiteboard so other guests can
Yeah.
leave messages and stuff for them.
I've seen that at Disney at the resorts before at Walt Disney World where people have like those whiteboards that they'll like magnet to their doors. But that's so fun.
Yeah, and there's also ones that are different seasonal ones too. So you can do really fun ones for Christmas or for Halloween. If you're on a themed cruise, you could do Marvel. Just be really careful. Like if you put anything on your door, make sure it's not going to scratch the door because they will
Right.
charge you if something gets scratched. So be very careful about what you put on it, that it's just magnetic and that it's not going to hurt anything. That goes for virtually anything else we say this evening. Don't
Yes.
hurt
Yeah. We
anything.
definitely want to be super respectful of the space, knowing that they have to, once you vacate your stateroom, they have to quickly turn that around and have it ready for the next cruise that's gonna hop on probably within like a day or so
Yeah,
of you getting off. So yes, we want to make sure we are very respectful of that for sure.
right. Do you want me to talk about fish extenders? Because I know I have more.
Please do, because this is so fascinating to
Okay.
me.
So this is something that's been around for a really long time. This was started on the disboards for disboards.com like
Okay.
forever ago. But some of them have now like migrated to Facebook, like it's been like, they're kind of different places. So you can look on either one. Sometimes the Disboards ones will link to the Facebook ones and whatnot. But this is something where you essentially, it's kind of a gift exchange with people that are going on your cruise that you organize ahead of time before you go. So what they do is you find your cruise, like the date you're going, and then you like join the group, and then you kind of give details like, you don't have to give your kids names necessarily unless you want to, because sometimes they'll actually personalize gifts for your
Oh
kids, which
wow.
is really cool. Like we have one from our Alaska cruise that is little personalized Alaska pillowcases, all with my kids' favorite characters and their names embroidered on them
Oh
with
my
Disney Cruise. Like people
gosh.
will make the sweetest things for it, but you can also do things that are like gifts that are like from the dollar store or like Disney things, that you find, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on it if you don't want to. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really fun that you can, it's a fun gift exchange. And the way that you do it is that you find all those people, they have their room, the stateroom number next to it. And then you go and you deliver all the gifts to them, and they do the same thing to you throughout the week. So you could do one gift, or you could do multiple throughout the
Yeah.
week. And so they're called fish extenders because the things that were outside, the little clips that they put your stateroom keys and stuff on were fish on kind of the original boats.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
That makes
it's
sense.
like a hanger that you hang from that, and it has little envelopes and usually one little pocket per person. And then that way they can deliver the gifts into the individual things. So it's really, really fun to do. Does take a lot of planning. So
Yeah.
if you are excited for something else to look forward to, if your cruise is really far away and you want to get excited for it and do this, the other thing is that it does take up a lot of space. It was an entire suitcase worth of stuff
Oh
that we
my
brought back.
gosh.
So, but some of it was really, really great. I
Right.
think I made little fleece scarves for everyone. So I made like,
Yeah.
I painted like a little Disney Cruise Line logo with the cruise dates on it. And then
Hmm.
because it was cold, because it's Alaska.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we had
that's so
little
fun.
Alaska scarves for everybody. So that was really fun. I got all their favorite colors. So they were all matching their
Yeah.
favorite colors.
Did they give you like a suggested limit that everyone is supposed to kind of stay within for that, or is it just up to discretion?
It's really up to discretion, and some
Yeah.
people really like give a lot because they can,
Hmm.
and some
Yeah.
people just kind of give what they're able to. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the beauty of the exchange, is like you just give whatever you're able to do, you
Yeah.
know. But you do want to give something if you're
Right.
participating, you know. That's
Right.
the key, you know. And it's
Yes.
kind of fun to be able to get to know the boat a little bit, because you're
Hmm.
walking around the boat to all these different stateroom places you wouldn't go before necessarily,
Right.
to find the places. So
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure as you're walking down the hallways, then you can see, even if it's not your particular person that you're gifting to, you can see others who have been given little
right.
gifts and stuff. So it's kind of that's so fun. I love
Well,
that.
and the fish extenders themselves, you can make them all themed. Some of, like, this one's really simple. Like, they just kind of sewed some Halloween baskets together. So you
Oh
don't have to
yeah.
make them complicated. You can buy them on Etsy. I made my own, and I'm so bummed that I didn't bring it in for this episode. I'll have to find it for our Discord later. But I made one that's up themed. So it has like clouds on the background, and then it has like all the different characters from Up, and then it has two little tennis balls on the top. And it's like one of
No.
my favorite things I've ever made. So,
That's so
and
fun.
I'm
Yes,
sad
we
I don't use
definitely
it
need a
much.
photo of that in our Discord so we can see it. Yeah, like what could you do with it when you bring it home? That's so
Yeah, it's
funny.
under my bed. That's
You could almost like if you've got little kids and you could like hang like you could put little stuffed animals in the little
Yeah, it was.
baskets
I
or
only had two kids at the time too, so if
yeah.
we use it again, I have to like add a pocket, which
Oh
is
my
also
gosh.
like.
That's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Now,
But anyway,
did they do this like could you guys have opted into doing this for your European cruise that you guys did?
they
Or
didn't
is it
seem to have a
mostly
group
just
organized for it, which is interesting, and
I
maybe
wondered
because
if
it
it
was
was
in Europe,
more,
you
yeah,
know.
so I wondered if it was more from like the US based ports that do it
It
or
seems to be, from
hmm
what I've seen, because it definitely was Alaska and definitely was the Caribbean one we went on. So I
yeah.
think it's not necessarily every cruise, but I have seen them for the ones overseas too. So yeah,
Okay.
and oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it may just depend on your particular itinerary.
yeah, KDO says they've seen more and more people doing similar things at doors at hotels now too. So that's kind of
Oh.
interesting. We should look into that, Jackie.
Yeah, I wonder
Hmm.
if people have taken that
Fish
process
extender
and yeah and
thing.
done it at the resorts or not. It'd be a lot harder to coordinate because it would have to be so resort specific. If you're
Specific, yeah.
like going to Disney World and you're staying these dates, it can't be like anyone else
All
that's
the
like,
resorts.
you know, right, like I mean I guess it could, you just have to then coordinate getting there, which is
Right,
part of the battle without having resort to resort transportation.
right, right.
Interesting. Well, who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, it'll be this whole thing at the Disney
I
resorts
know.
too.
Maybe it's like just getting started, which I think
Right.
is really fun. So
Yeah, that's so
anyway,
fun.
that's kind of fish extenders in a nutshell, and it's a really fun tradition that's been going on for a really long time, and I think it's fun to participate in, but it does have a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
So just be prepared what you're getting into if you're going to do it.
Yes. So true. Shall we talk about a couple more things in the rooms that people
Yeah,
can
go for it, Jackie.
Okay. So, like Kate mentioned with the doors being magnetic and metal, so are the walls in your staterooms. So you can bring like magnetic hooks and things like that, especially to hang your lanyards with your Key to the World cards, because we talked about in all of our other episodes how important it is to make sure you know exactly where that card is at all time, because it is your lifeline on that Disney cruise. So having a magnetic hook of some sort or multiples that you can use for those is super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also use those to decorate your room for special celebrations, if it's an anniversary or a birthday, or just, you know, celebrating your first cruise as a family, whatever you want to do with that. You can use magnets on the walls for those. Again, just make sure that anything that you put up, you're very careful and cautious about where you're putting it and how you're putting it. You know, you don't want to block any of the exits or anything like that, and you want to make sure that it's going to not damage any of the walls and those types of things. So
Or get
keep
in
that
the
in
way
mind as
of
well.
mousekeeping as well. You know, like
Yes.
let them make sure they have their access to everything they need in the room, especially for turn down service and whatnot. So
Yes.
don't make their job harder
Right. Yeah,
as
for
you're
sure,
doing
for
it.
sure. Yes. And there are a couple things, well, quite a few things actually, that you can order directly through Disney to just be in your stateroom for you, which is a really nice perk that they do offer. So if you want to have these special decorations, but you don't want to bother with bringing them with you and having to hang them up yourself, and you'd rather it be kind of like a surprise when you get to your stateroom, they do offer a ton of onboard gift options directly through Disney. So if you're looking for these, they're on the Disney Cruise Line website, and then they're sorted by departure port. So you have to, like, if you just want to browse and see what's available, you do have to go through your departure port. So when I was looking these up, I looked at mostly the ports like Florida, Texas, California. So this is kind of the basis of what they have at a lot of those. Some of the international ports seemed really similar, but some of the ports don't have nearly as many options. So this is all subject to availability at your particular port with your itinerary when you're going. But a couple different things that they have in their categories. They have cakes that you can order ahead of time for special celebrations. They have like full Mickey head shaped cakes that you can get for
Cute.
$55. And then they have little cupcakes that are anywhere from $9.50 to $11.50. And they usually have like those chocolate kind of pendant decorations on them. They're either like Captain Mickey or Captain Minnie, and they have a couple different flavors, things like that. They do have allergy friendly options for that as well, which is
Oh,
really
that's
great.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so we know that Disney is so good about that at their parks, but they're also really good about that for even these little details. So they had like a gluten-free option and things like that.
Oh,
So
that's so great.
I know, I was like, oh, that's so helpful. That way
I love
everyone
that.
can participate. Now, I don't know that they have all allergies covered, but I know that I saw a few. So
Right.
keep that in mind as well. They also do different like sweets and snacks things that you can order, where it's like fruit and cheese combo platters, like charcuterie boards, those types of things as well. And those vary anywhere from like $21 to $38, depending on what you're ordering and the size and all those types of things. They do have the ability for you to order bottled water to your room, which is really nice. So like some of these are more gifty and some of these are just like necessities that you
Practical.
may
Yeah.
want to have in your
Right.
room. But the price point is pretty hefty. So they have like a 6-pack, 12 packs, 24 packs. If you get like a 24 pack of bottled water, it is $60.
It's a
So
lot of money.
it is a lot of money. The 12 pack is $30 and the 6-pack is $15. So keep that in mind, whether or not you want to opt for that service on your particular cruise line. You may want to, because maybe you need bottled water for something specific and it's just easier to do it that way. Just include that in your budget whenever you're planning. And they do offer also delivery of non-alcoholic apple cider, and you have like 2 little packages you can get where it's like the bottle and 2 glasses for $20, or like an ice bucket and chocolates and the bottle and glasses for $38. So different options, varying options for all of these kind of. So I'm just kind of running through them pretty quick.
Yeah, can I mention, Shelby says I brought my own bottled water in my suitcase. So there's also an option to do
Yeah.
that. But if it comes to alcoholic drinks, remember that there's a limit to that as well.
Yes, with
So,
what you can carry on.
right.
They do, however, that segued very nicely into, they do have varying packages for beer and wine as well that you can order to your room. So with like the wine, they also have some champagne options. You have all sorts of different combination options, anywhere from 1 bottle to 7 bottles that you can order to have delivered to your room.
Really enjoy your cruise.
Yes. But keep in mind, like the low end price point of that is $40. So you're
Mm,
going to be paying a minimum of $40 for a singular bottle of your choosing,
yeah,
all the
that's
way up to
premium.
like 300 plus for multiple bottles. So
My goodness.
again, keep that in mind. They do offer 6 packs of beer or the Truly seltzers for anywhere from like $32 to $36 for those. Again, that's for a 6 pack. So that price is significantly more than what you would find at your local grocery store.
Might be worth carrying on some, is what
Yes.
we're saying,
Yes.
if you want that. Yes.
Exactly. The one thing that I did think was really interesting and might be worth it is they do also offer a cruise line branded beer mug. And I forgot to look at what size it was, but it looked pretty good size from the picture that I found online. And that's only $15.25, which like,
That's not that bad.
right, for a
Yeah.
souvenir mug. So like if you
That's
carry
like
on your
Disney
own,
parks
right,
cost.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Carry on your own beverages and then use your mug that you ordered to your room.
Yeah. That sounds smart. I like that
Yeah.
idea.
Right. So I was like, though that seems fairly reasonable. They do also offer what they call the romance package options. So if you so choose to, they have luxury packages with drinks, glasses, chocolates, and roses, and the prices range anywhere from 82 to about 130 on those. So they have, again, different combinations and different amounts and different things like that, depending on what you're looking for. If you are on a honeymoon, we talked about honeymoon cruises, anniversary cruises, those types of things. They do have those options as well. One that I thought was interesting is they have a cigar option that you can,
Seriously?
yes, which I thought was fascinating. And I don't
Do they
know.
allow smoking?
I don't know. I'm really not sure.
Hold on.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about that, I don't know. I was just going through and, listing them all when I was doing my research, but I don't know. But they do have a 5 pack of cigars for $140 if you so choose to partake in that option.
They do allow
Oh,
cigar smoking in designated areas on some of its ships. Smoking is
okay.
permitted on deck 14, forward and aft, port side, at any time.
Okay.
I
There
guess it
you
makes sense
go.
that they would have some sort of smoking area for
Yeah.
people who need to smoke because it can't go
Right.
like a week
Right.
without.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
I know. I thought that was like, interesting. Don't know anything about the quality or what those cigars are like that they offer, but they're $140. So
It's hard to say though
right.
based on this pricing.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Who
Exactly.
knows?
Right.
Interesting.
Another fun kind of specialized thing that they have is they do have some specialty packages that are more like merch based. And these were really super cute. So they had like little kids backpack sets where they had like an Avengers or Star Wars or just like cruise line themed. And those range anywhere from 35 to 45. And it's usually like a little gift set kind of that they have. The one that I thought was really, really cool is they have what they call a color and cruise backpack,
Oh,
and it
fun.
comes with fabric markers. So it's like a white front with Disney characters and cruise line themes, and then it comes with fabric markers so the kids can color it. Like it's like a little like arts and crafts thing that they can do. So yeah, it's a DIY color backpack, and
That's
it also
cute.
comes with like a little pencil case and a little like puzzle cube. So it's not like it's similar to like a Rubik's cube, but it's like a three-sided puzzle cube that they can like a fidget that they can have as part of that as well. So I thought that was super interesting and like a fun little thing. And I'll talk a little there's a couple more kids options here in a minute that I'll talk about too. They also had a bunch of water bottle and like cup sets that they offer too. So like nice kind of like themed stainless steel water bottle sets that they had as well. That were some were geared for adults, some were more for kids. So they've got kind of a hodgepodge of mix of those. And then the other kids stuff that they have is this adventure gear is what they call it. And it's like backpack and hat bundles
Oh
that they
yeah.
have. So
I think I
it's
just saw that.
like, yeah, there are like all these different, they have like a Captain Mickey one, they have a cruise line one, they have one that's like just magic on the cruise, they have Captain Minnie. They have like an Anchors Away. Yep, that's the Captain Minnie one, which like so adorable. I
It's
think
so
that's
cute.
I
Yeah.
know. And so it's just a little backpack set that you can have like waiting in your stateroom for your kids when you get there, which is like super fun. So yeah, and some of them are a little more adult themed and some of them are like very clearly kid themed.
Yeah.
And they range anywhere from 47 to 79 generally for those combo little gifts. But I thought those were super cute. And yeah, some of them have like water bottles with them. So they're different kind of combinations based on the theme depending on which one you're looking at. But I was like, that is super fun. So you can just order it ahead of time and have it waiting for you in your stateroom when you get there, which is a fun little surprise for your kiddos to walk into.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
the other one that they have, which is a fun surprise to walk into, is they do offer in-room decorating.
Oh yeah.
So they have like bedding and decorating sets where they have like little like pillows and blankets and some little like decoration like signs and things like that. They have a Pixar one, a cruise line one that's just like a general adventure one, and then they also have a bunch of birthday options as well. That Kate is kind of showing you some examples that they have on their website, which is super cute and a super fun way that if you don't want to deal with having to bring it with you and pack it and hang it yourself and all of that, they will do it for you, which is super nice. And those sets range anywhere from 87 to 95. So depending on what you're getting may or may not be worth it for you to not have to worry about the hassle of doing it all yourself.
Yeah, right? Like that's worth something.
Right, exactly.
Especially when
Exactly.
you've
Your
already
peace of mind when
had
you've
to
already
get like lug all your bags and you've like got all everybody on the ship and you just want to
yeah.
relax on your vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just done for you when you get there, which is really nice. And they
Yeah.
do also offer floral arrangements on board as well as an option. They had like 5 or 6 different combinations of those, anywhere from $48 to $98, depending on size and quantity and what flowers you're getting and all that good stuff. So if you're interested in booking any of those, all you need is the name on the reservation and just like where, like the port that you're doing. And you can book it right online, or they also have a phone number that you can call. Most of the items are delivered to the staterooms on embarkation day, but some of the products like the cakes and beverages can be delivered a couple different ways. You can request them to your stateroom or you can request them to a dining room as well. So like if you are there like and you want to celebrate the birthday and do it at dinner with the cake at dinner, that you can request that they deliver it to your dining. And you can pick the date and the time of your choosing and all of that.
So great.
It's pretty specific that they're, and it's nice that they're able to offer that, a little bit with a little bit of wiggle room with that. But do keep in mind if you're doing cake, all of the cake orders have a little bit of an earlier window. They have to be placed no later than 7 days prior to your sail date.
Okay. So you got to plan ahead.
Because they have to make sure they have what they need before you leave your port. And then any other orders have to be placed 3 days prior to sail date, just so they have time to have what they need on board and make sure they can fulfill all of those orders and everything. But overall, a ton of options. Most of them are pretty pricey. So again, weigh that pros and cons depending on how you're getting to the port and how you're traveling. People talking about packing water in their suitcase. If you're flying, you may not want to fly with water in your suitcase.
Sure.
So plan ahead and plan accordingly for all of those things.
Yeah, and a lot of those things too could be replicated in more budget friendly ways if you wanted to. You can provide things in your suitcase, decorate the room or little treats for your kids or those kinds of things. Go to the dollar store or the dollar spot and Target or something. You can go places and find stuff a little bit cheaper if you need to. So maybe it can just kick off some ideas if you don't want to add that onto your cruise specifically, but you maybe just want to think of some of these things you want to do as extras for your cruise. So
yeah, and like Kate mentioned with decorations and stuff, there are so many options online that you can purchase through Etsy or download for free off a ton of blogs and websites and things like that. So start there for sure. Do a bunch of Googling, figure out what theme you want to go with, and then go from there, and you can kind of figure all of the details out based on that.
Yeah, but it is fun though. I mean, especially with those magnetic walls, like the sky's the limit with that. So
right. I imagine you could also like with the magnetic walls bring, like I envision if you have little kids, I know they make like magnet sets that are like the Mickey characters for like fridge magnets. You could just bring
Yeah.
those with you and let the kids move them around the room, keep track of how many you have.
Right.
But move them around, and how you can play with those for sure. That would be a fun little easy thing that you can just throw in your bag that's just like a set of magnets. So
Yeah, that would be really fun for
a
kids,
ton of
especially littles.
options.
That's great. Shall we move on to some food hacks? Just a couple of
Yes.
them. Now, we already kind of talked about some food hacks in general on our second episode in this series, which was Disney Cruise Line 101. So we're not going to go over a ton of these in this episode just because we don't want to repeat ourselves. But a couple of things. Remember to check your dining time in the Navigator app. Be aware what if you are assigned to the main dining or the later dining
Yes.
way in advance of your cruise, and if you need to change that,
Right.
is just a really important one because you could end up eating at 8 p.m. with your littles, which is really hard. So maybe better
Yep.
to have an earlier dining time, the main dining time, if you have little kids. Also, making sure you utilize room service because it is free and included on your cruise, but you do want to have some cash on hand to tip those who are bringing it to your room, and also be aware that it can take a while for it to get delivered. But there is usually cards in the room where you can pre-order breakfast and then hang it out. I think it was like by 3 a.m. or something. It was like real early in the morning, like middle of the night, basically. Hang it up
Right.
before you go to bed
Yes.
on your door outside, and then they will deliver. It's kind of like a light continental breakfast here. So a lot of people will order maybe coffee for themselves while their littles are maybe still sleeping, and then they could go and enjoy it on their veranda or in their room while they're still kind of trying to wake up without having to leave the room if you've got kids in the room. So
Yeah.
a really handy option for that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about hopefully you're in bed by 3 a.m. Although I don't know. People probably aren't on they're on vacation. They may stay up until late, but
Yeah.
I would not survive that.
I would probably be up at 3 a.m., but that's just me because
That's
I'm
the
weird.
norm for you though. So
Jackie, do you want to talk about some getting around the ship hacks?
yes, this is one of my favorite. I just think this is so clever and cool. But when you are navigating around the hallways on your ship, pay attention to the carpet, which sounds bizarre,
That sounds weird.
but
Yeah.
a lot of the times they will have specific the direction of the design, or like the characters that you see sometimes on these Disney cruise lines will help you know if you're going towards the front of the boat or the back of the boat. So pay attention to the floor when you're
I
walking
know.
through those hallways to help you orient yourself. There are maps near the elevators, so if you find yourself centrally located in the ship and you're near the elevators and you're trying to figure out which way to go, use those.
So these
So,
hallways can look really weird when you go down
mhm,
them because they all look the same, and it can get very disorienting which way you're
yes.
going. So you can tell if you're going towards the front of the boat if it's facing you, or the aft of the boat if it looks upside down. So it really
Yes.
helps a lot.
Yes. And then also use your Navigator app to help you figure out which direction you're going. Remember, that is something that will function on your cell phone regardless of service and things like that. It is guaranteed to work because it, again, like we talked about the key to the world card being your lifeline, that is also your lifeline while you are on your cruise. So use that to your advantage.
Yes. So I had the idea of making it a little bit more fun hacks, and unfortunately, fairly recently, Disney Cruise Line actually kind of canceled one of these because it was beginning to be a little bit of a safety hazard for small children and things like that. So it's understandable why, but it's really sad for the community that used to do it, and that is, of course, hiding ducks around the ship. And so the tradition for this was that you I want to say it's Disney Ducks or whatever is the group. It was like a Facebook group,
Hmm.
but I think it still is, but you can get your ducks, and then you would like tie something around them. You can be whatever character you want, whatever kind of duck you want, but you would like tie a tag on it that says like, you found a duck from like, so and so family, like post on this like, Facebook group. And it was really
Yeah.
cute because then you'd be like, oh, I found it. Thank you for the duck. And then you could choose to rehide it, or you could choose
Hmm.
to keep it and collect
Okay.
them. And so this is just a tradition for a long time on Disney Cruise. You would
That's
just find
so
little ducks around
random
the
and
ship.
I love it.
I know, it was really, really cute, and it's very, very sad that it has now been banned. fairly recently, as of like I think this year or the last couple months. It's
Yeah, I know I
yeah.
heard about it recently, so it had to have been probably within the last 6 months or so, maybe.
And I mean, it's partially because people would hide them in places where they really shouldn't be putting them, you know, and
Right,
also if they're little ducks, then they're choking hazard for small kids. So
right.
there's some things, but I had a little girl hand me a duck once, and it like
Oh,
totally made my day. Because
oh.
and the mom's like, she's like, she wants you to have the duck, and it was like this little 3-year-old girl. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's
I was just walking around the
amazing.
ship. I was like, well, thank you. And it like totally made my day. And I
Yeah,
guess there's really no reason that you can't still hand people ducks, you know? So you could still
true.
do that. You just
Yeah,
can't hide them anymore,
right.
which is a bummer. So,
Yes, I'm sure people would, if the cast members have probably been told that they have to, if they see them, they have to collect them and discard them. So
yeah, which is a bummer for
sadly,
everybody,
sadly.
especially if you spend a lot of time making them and buying them. So,
Right. Yeah. So something else for kind of making it more fun, and we talked briefly about characters in our other episodes, but getting autographs from the characters.
there's a
So
lot of those
just
too.
yeah, just like you can see on your Disney parks trips when you go to see characters for meet and greets, you have a ton of characters on the boat with you. You can have them sign just like you would in the parks if it's an autograph book or if it's some sort of memorabilia. I see so many different options with that. I won't go into all of those now because we would literally be here all night with
I
all
know,
with
right?
all of the ideas that you can use. So that is an option. They used to offer that you could help, the guest services would help you out with that. But it sounds like maybe post
They
Panini,
used to be able
they
to
have
like
not been able to
yeah, each will
reinstate
drop
that.
them off in a bag. Like what we used to do was get pillowcases with fabric markers, and then we would
Yeah.
request which characters we wanted and drop it off in a bag at guest services, and the characters would all sign it, and then we could go collect it before the end of the week. And
Okay.
that was so much fun, and we still have those pillowcases, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing too many people were doing it, and it was probably overwhelming, and they didn't want to
Yeah.
be in charge of other people's stuff. You know, there's all kinds of reasons. So,
That's hard to coordinate, especially
yeah.
because they know that there are so many characters on board already that it's just easier. And to an extent, if your kids do well with those meet and greets, it's probably more special to physically watch them sign it
Oh,
anyway.
for
So,
sure. Yes, most definitely. Yeah. So, that being said, should we talk a little bit about staying healthy on your Disney cruise?
yeah, we have lots of info for this. Can you
Yeah.
tell that we're moms of small children?
Yeah. Well, and I got sick on my very first Disney cruise that I ever took. I got extremely ill because I think it's the norovirus goes around Disney cruise.
Yeah.
Like, not just Disney cruise. I'll say it goes around
Any,
cruise
yes.
ships. Any cruise ship, it goes around like crazy. So that's why you will see people sanitizing things like all the time on a Disney cruise, and they do a really great job doing it. But these are some ways to prevent yourself from being quarantined in your room with illness. Okay, of course, practice good hand washing throughout cruise. Teach your kids to do that too. If they've forgotten since the panini, go and remember how to
Remind them
wash
they
your
have
hands.
to, what is it, like happy birthday twice while you
Yes,
scrub?
scrub. Yes, on rinse all the way off and dry all the way off. Washing your hands when you enter any buffet area. So they actually have a physical hand washing station with sinks and with like, you know, towels and everything. So, and they kind of wash you and like offer you wash your hands, like reminder.
They
Like
should
they
have the
stand
kids
there.
club ones at the
I know, right?
buffets.
All adults could use that too, for
Right.
real.
That would be helpful.
And then this one is something we always do when we go to the buffet specifically is you wash your hands when you go in, but when people are eating and then they go back for seconds, their hands are not clean. They're touching those spoons and utensils and stuff. So we sanitize our hands the second we get back to our table. I just put it in the middle of the table. Everybody knows they have to sanitize their hands before they start eating every
Yep.
time they come back from the buffet. It sounds really extreme, but I'm pretty sure 100% is the way I got sick last time.
Yeah.
So just be very careful.
Yep.
Protect yourself. And along with that, too, I will say never use your hands to touch food on the buffets. Just as a reminder, use the utensils provided. Don't put stuff back if you change your mind. Just leave it on your plate.
Yep.
And also get a fresh plate with if you get subsequent trips to the buffet. So make sure you have a fresh plate every time just to help
Yes.
keep everybody
Yeah. And
from
if
being
you've
sick.
got those kiddos that are like maybe old enough to handle the buffet by themselves, you might just want to go with them to help
Just to keep an
make
eye on
sure
things.
make sure
Doesn't
they're
hurt.
doing things in a sanitary way.
Yep.
Again, not trying to go overboard, just trying to keep everyone healthy.
Hmm. It's good. It's all of our responsibility, right? To keep
Right.
everybody like we're all gonna all in this together because
Yes.
one person goes down, we all go down. So
Right? You are literally you have you cannot avoid it. There is no way you can avoid it. You are stuck on a boat with them. Now, if you do get sick on board, let's talk about that briefly. They do have a health center on every one of the Disney Cruise Line ships that is located on deck one forward. So if you need it, they are there. They do have like clinic hours though. So keep that in mind if you're just going for like a non-emergency medical care. Their hours are typically like 9:30 to 11 in the morning and then 4:30 to 7 in the afternoon. So it's not like 24 hours. Keep that in mind. So that is non-emergencies. You can also call from the ship phone if you are in need of a non-emergency medical, issue or whatever may be going on, some advice or trying to get a hold of someone. You can dial 71923 from any ship phone. Now, I also guarantee you that is probably posted near the phones, and there's probably a button or it's on your navigator app, so you don't have to remember that number or, make a note in your phone, whatever you need to do with that. First aid help is also available at guest services on Deck 3 midship. So if you need Band-Aids or over-the-counter medication, those kind of things that you would find at like a general drugstore, they do have that at guest services. In the event of a medical emergency, which hopefully, God forbid, that doesn't happen to anybody that is listening to us right now or anybody that you guys all know, but you can dial 3000 from any ship phone because there is a doctor and a nurse on call 24/7. So the clinic is not open 24/7, but you do have access to a medical professional 24/7 if needed. So that is a good thing to have. And do keep in mind that any medical services that are rendered on the ship are all considered care outside the United States. So you will have paperwork to process and all that good stuff. But they do provide you with pretty much everything that you would need to like take it back to your health insurance and talk to them about claims and all of that.
or your trip
happy
insurance.
adult things. Or yes, if your trip insurance covers that, you could do that as well. So
That's what we
just
did.
keep in mind that you will have fees that probably need to be handled and taken care of and reimbursed or whatever your particular coverage may be for that.
I have a question from Ryan about how insurance works on a ship, and I know that they took our information when we did it last time, but I don't remember. I don't know the specifics of exactly how it works. So that's a good question.
I would say travel insurance is probably your best bet for coverage as far as medical goes. And then if I were you, I would call your insurance provider before you go or like when you book to know what their policies are, because a lot of that may be dependent on your particular coverage.
Yeah. All right. So that I think it kind of covers in general health on the ship. If you have care, if you need it. Should we talk a little bit about courtesy on the ship? How to be kind to others.
Let's be kind.
One of the things that they have is laundry on board, which a lot of people do take advantage of, especially because your stateroom is not very big. So washing your clothes is very helpful. I believe that my laundry was connected to my app and it actually sent me a prompt when my laundry was done. It said dryer done, so I could know to go get my laundry. Just be sure that you are prompt in going to get it because there's not that many for a lot of people.
Right.
And there's almost always, especially on at-sea days, there's always lines of people kind of waiting for the laundry. So just be kind. Don't go swimming for hours and like forget your laundry's in there. Just be kind to others who are waiting for that.
Yeah, I know that the washers and dryers at Disney World have like a website that they like you can check the progress. So I'm sure there is something that Disney has organized to help gently nudge and remind people, hey, go get your stuff.
Okay, your stuff's ready. It's done.
Go move it out of the way. Ding.
Yeah, and the way it works is you buy kind of like credits for the laundry machines. So it's a pretty simple process once you kind of figure it out. But yeah, make sure you get your laundry. when it's done.
Yes. On top of that, with laundry and clothing, be sure that you're not draping towels and clothing or swimsuits on your veranda railings, because, first of all, things will blow away as the boat is moving, and you may never see it again. It will
Yeah.
be lost at sea, literally. And it's just, just one of those things that it could damage something. It could end up somewhere it's not supposed to be on the
It
ship.
also
It
looks really
could,
tacky on the outside of the ship.
yes, yep, yep.
So
So keep that in mind. But yeah, if you need to dry things,
they
your
have things in the
veranda is,
shower,
yes, your
they
veranda is
have
not the way to do it. Use the little lines that they have.
also when leaving your cabin, the doors slam behind you pretty quickly. They're very heavy doors. And so they will just, and so also tell your kids, like, hey, these doors are heavy and they close really quickly and they're going to slam and wake everybody up in the hallway. So, just as a courtesy, don't let the door slam behind you because it echoes down the whole hallway and it's really annoying. I mean, people will anyway, but you can at least
Right.
not be one of them.
Right. Don't be that person. Be friendly to your neighbor who
That's
may
right.
be trying to sleep while your kids are up at 6 a.m. wanting to go get food.
Yep.
Along with that, paying attention to your TV volume if you're watching movies, TV shows at different hours, whenever it may be, because you can sometimes hear them through the walls. Think about a standard hotel room. It's no different on the Disney cruise in their staterooms. You're going to be able to hear it through the wall.
Kind of like Pop Century. Has to be like if with the doors that you can go through, what a conjoining,
Yeah, yeah.
doors. Because I listened to a whole conversation one time of a family next
Oh.
door to me of a small child who would refuse to eat their mini muffin and how they lost their umbrella. And I heard the whole thing, all of it.
So not only TV volume, also your just general volume.
So just be
courteous.
aware.
Yes. Yes, just be courteous that there may be people around you. And even if you're in a conjoining room, maybe with, connecting room, we've talked about that with other family members. There are also other people on the outsides of you, though. So do keep that in mind if you've got kiddos running back and forth between rooms and, little ones, especially, or if you don't have little ones, but it's like the middle of the afternoon during when it could be nap time, there always could be someone sleeping or resting around you. So just be
Right.
kind, and also keep that in mind with the hallways during after hours as well.
Right.
Like Kate mentioned, the doors are heavy, which means they're pretty thick. However, you can still hear noise in the hallways. So just be kind and courteous and keep your volume down when you can. If you've got a crying baby, you've got a crying baby. There's not much you can do
Right.
about that, but
Right.
do what you can.
What you can. Absolutely. Also, something that's just kind of a courtesy, I think anywhere, even at the Disney resorts, but also especially here, everybody's using the elevators to get places on the cruise ship because you've got to go up and down to all these floors. So be careful not to block the elevators, while you're standing waiting to get on one. Just take a step back, pretty common courtesy, but sometimes we just forget because we're on vacation. We're only thinking about what we're doing. So.
Right. And especially if you're trying to get somewhere at a certain time, or you've got an activity to go to, or you've got dinner to go to, which is our next note on our list here.
Yeah.
Try really hard to not be late to your dining time.
Yeah.
It happens. We understand that, especially if you're traveling in a big family or with a bunch of kids. But it can make it a lot harder for your server to try to keep track of everything when they're getting to all, trying to get you rolling and get your food and not make you wait extra long for your meal to come. And they also have to take the orders for the table all at once. So we talked already about previously, if you are in a smaller party, you may be paired with additional families at your table. You may make them have to wait on you if you're late and your server is ready to take their order, so just keep that in mind. Try to be punctual to dinner, especially.
Yeah, or if you are really late, they'll take the order of the other group, but then they have to take your order, and it's multiple course meals, right? So now they're doing a course. This one table has now 2 courses going in 2 different times, which makes it way more complicated for them. So
Yes.
it's just kinder to try to be on time if you can
Yes.
for your wait staff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense.
we have some pool hacks, and this one is really actually quite common because there's signs up everywhere that warn you, but try not to leave your stuff on deck chairs to save them. It's really rude practice. If you're not actively using the deck chair, they will remove your items. I can't remember how long it is, like 30 minutes or something like that. It's not
Oh,
that
wow.
long. Yeah, so you can't just like park your stuff there and like leave. Like you have to be actively sitting in the chair in order to claim it. That's just kind of how it works. So just be aware you can't hike, you can't camp out there all day without you physically being in it.
That's good to know because I mean, I know
Yeah.
that that happens at pools. No matter where you are, people throw their stuff on the chairs and then go and get in the water and are in the water for an hour. And
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then nobody can use that chair.
right.
Right. Right. Exactly. So,
Yes. Okay, a couple other miscellaneous just hacks and tips and tricks from Kate and the extended Mom Street community. Um, if you are on board and you're ready to book your next cruise, if you book while you are still on board, you will save 10% off of your next cruise. So, could be definitely worth it if you already know that you want to go and you know when and where and all of that. Go ahead and book it. Don't wait.
yeah, save 10%. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Another thing is that we talked about in a previous episode how I think it was Disney Cruise Line 101, where
Hmm.
the Wi-Fi is really bad and very
Yes.
expensive. And so, and there's no cell service. So download anything you need, books, games, non-Disney Plus movies, anything you want to your devices before you leave port. Like make sure maybe before you leave home in some instances, like
Yeah.
make sure you have that all ready to go on your devices because you don't want to get on board and realize like, oh my gosh, like I wanted this book, but I can't get it because I'd
Right.
have to pay this much to download it and
Yeah.
then you're stuck. So,
Or, oh my gosh, this is my toddler's favorite show and it didn't download and I thought it did. And now we have
right.
to go the entire cruise without them being able to watch their show that they watch every day. Don't do
Yeah,
that to
don't do
yourself.
that. No, definitely not.
Yes. Another tip before you go, watching YouTube videos of ship walkthroughs to help prep your kids and familiarize them with kind of what the ship looks like, what the kids area looks like, what the dining looks like, especially if you've got kiddos that need that prep ahead of time. We've talked about this with the parks and rides and attractions too. That can be super, super helpful. All of that stuff lives and exists on YouTube in multiple places. So
Right.
take
Um,
advantage.
Also, something that I did with my kids when they were really little is I taught them about nautical terms before we went by making it a game. And I taped with masking tape on our floor. I taped like the shape of a boat
Hmm.
and like a big ship. And then I taught them all the different, I quizzed them on where to stand on it for like the port, starboard, aft, forward, and all those kinds of things. And so we kind of made it into a game to get them to know the nautical terms. So not something you have to do,
Yeah.
but just kind of fun and educational for the kids and gets them excited for the trip as you're planning.
I would fail that game.
Okay, well, here's how you remember port and starboard. Okay, those are left and
And you
right.
told me
Yeah,
this, and I don't even remember what you said.
port has 4 letters, and so does left.
Okay.
So if it's shorter, it's port, it's 4 letters, that's left.
Okay.
And starboard is more letters, like right is more letters, and that's the only way I remember that. But that's it. And then forward makes sense because it's forward of the boat, and aft makes sense. But port and starboard, that's how I remember.
I will probably still forget that.
I'll remind you again
I
next
need to
time.
give myself a quiz and a game when and if I ever decide to go on a Disney cruise. I'm gonna do that for myself because my kids will probably remember after like the second time I tell them, and I will still have no clue the day we get on the boat. So
You can put masking tape in your kitchen, and as you cook, you can move. So you're like, I'm going port side, going starboard side.
I'm gonna reverse it and make my kids quiz me on it.
That would be so fun.
Yes.
You guys had fun with that. So moving on to the next section. This is actually something that I got from my good friend Cindy, who is a best-selling author, has a wonderful book series. Sydney Swanson is what she goes under for that. But she is somebody who does Disney cruises an awful lot. She also somebody who craves quiet on the boats. And you might, as an adult, or some of these are specifically for adults, and some of these could be also apply for kids that are having a hard time with a lot of crowds or sensitivity. So she gave me the best sensitivity hacks for adults who like quiet and or like to be away from crowds. So thank you, Cindy, for that.
Yes, shout out to her. Thank you, thank you.
So should we just go back and forth with these?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I'll do the first one. So for goodness sakes, just don't let anyone convince you that you can't miss the sail away party, which we have talked about in previous episodes. It's a really cool thing to do. Or any shipwide parties. You can miss them. The world won't stop spinning. So I just thought that was a cute way of putting it.
Yes.
And it's true. And you can either you could go up above if you wanted to kind of see it from a bird's eye view, or you could just choose to not go at all if you're like, I just don't want to do crowds and noise. So don't feel obligated.
Nope, it's your vacation. You get to do what you want.
Yep.
So another tip from Cindy said, in general, if you want smaller crowds, go for the smaller ships. The Magic feels less crowded than her bigger sister ships because she has fewer people on board. The bigger footprints of the bigger ships do not, in her experience, mean you have more spread out crowd situation. You will have a greater variety of shared outdoor spaces, but there are some really real bottlenecks that can be hard to maneuver and tolerate depending on your sensitivities and your preferences.
That's a really helpful tip.
Yeah, because that's a really good point, because it can be very misleading to think, oh, it's a bigger boat, things will be more spread out, I'll have more space, but that also means a lot more people.
Mm-hmm. And some of those big ships too, the way that the elevators are organized are different than the smaller ships too. So there's I think there's bottlenecks there as well.
Yeah.
She also says there's always quiet nooks to be found, even on the largest and most crowded ships. And one of the ones she says is the Cove Cafe. Would be specifically for adults only. On the Wish is almost always passed over for the nearby Cove Bar. Similarly, the port side, left side, Jackie, seating area, just forward of the cafe, can be less crowded than the other parts of the quiet Cove area. Although even the starboard side, the right side, Jackie, can be quiet in the early morning.
I'm really glad I didn't tell you this at the beginning of our cruise line series, because our poor listeners would have to listen to you teach me and reteach me and reteach me every episode. Just so saying. True. Oh my goodness. Okay, shall we talk about now, for the Fantasy and the Dream, the seating in the Quiet Cove area on the port side. What side's that, Kate?
Left side, Jackie.
You can avoid the bustle of the Cove Bar on the starboard side.
Right side, Jackie.
You can also try the Meridian Bar outdoor seating area and learn what times of day are less occupied. And she suggests you just ask a cast member kind of what the typical rotation of the, if they've got events in there or if certain times are busier than others.
Yeah, I've done that before, where I was looking for a place to write and I went to the guest services and just said, where could I write right now that's quiet on this boat? And they did. Yeah. They recommended some great places. So
that's so nice.
They're very knowledgeable about what's going on.
It's helpful that they're all trained in that to an extent. You know what I mean?
And they know what events are happening too, because sometimes there'll be completely empty bar areas where there's nobody in them and you can totally hang out there. Yeah. So
ooh, I have to share, our friend Christina just popped over into my chat and said, think the second star to the right, starboard is right. That's also a good way to
Oh, that is a good way.
I love that.
Well done.
See? Kudos to Christina.
Thanks
friend.
Christina. For the Magic and Wonder on deck 11, the forward port, left, and starboard right, bump out area, loungers by the Wide World of Sports area can be quiet until they're not. So, because it's by the sports area. So, be aware of that.
That may be one to ask the cast members about, hey, what time is good? Or is this a good time or not? Mm-hmm. And then for all ships, the loungers on the promenade decks make for a great place to read a book alone. If you're okay with people strolling past, generally no one will bother you if you are reading.
Yeah, that is kind of quieter on those decks too. Unless you're near places. I think sometimes they have shuffleboard and stuff, so it depends on if somebody's playing a game.
Right.
For indoor spaces on all ships, there are lounges that can be ghost town quiet when there are no activities scheduled. That's 100% true. You'll read the next one, Jackie.
Yes. If you are an early riser, which is not Kate or I, but if you are, You'll have no trouble starting your day all alone in nearly any space aboard the ship. Similarly, if you are a night owl, which Kate is, so finding those early morning or late night times, you have several picks of places that will be quiet for you.
Yes. If you're really having trouble, though, finding a quiet space, again, ask a cast member because they know where to go.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much it for those hacks, but do we want to move on to the packing hacks?
Yes, because I feel like this is what a lot of people always ask us just in general about Disney. So I feel like cruise line is the same.
Yes.
So a couple of things that we have been suggested or Kate has found helpful. The first one is
A lot of these are
buying.
from Cindy again.
Okay,
A lot of these are
perfect.
from Cindy. That's what pointing out. Credit where credit's due.
Yes, absolutely. So the suggestion of buying or making a drop-down style hanging toiletries bag. So something that you can hang easily that's got lots of compartments and zippers. Or an alternative, get an over-the-door shoe holder for like the closet space to be able to hold things as well. But be careful that you don't hang anything over the doors that will damage that. So maybe a magnetic attachment or something like that. Like we mentioned earlier, you want to be cognizant of not damaging anything in your room.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people will suggest that you hang it over the door of your bathroom. You don't want to do that. It will definitely scratch it. So don't do that. But you can hang it on the bar that's in your closet safely, and that's fine. Don't bother packing any like shampoo, conditioner, hair dryer, or things that the ship provides. You have such limited space in these staterooms. They are tiny. They're very small. So anything you can leave behind, do is a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of go along with the hanging of the things, having a couple of those mini little carabiner hooks to attach things to other things. So anything with a zipper can have a carabiner kind of attached through the zipper and then be attached to a belt loop, a backpack loop, a wall hook, a magnetic hook, a hanger in your closet, whatever it may be. You have the ability to hook with those little tiny carabiner or some of the bigger ones too, depending on what you know you're going to want to hang up with it.
Yeah, you create instant storage that way, which is great. Also using packing cubes to organize and compress clothes. I honestly, my sister-in-law recently got me packing cubes for Christmas. It's like game changer for my vacations, like complete game changer, because it's like everything's really organized in their compartments. They all compress down, and it's like, where have these been all my life? So highly recommend the packing cubes, 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to upgrade to packing cubes because for my kids, their clothes no longer fit. And like we talked, oh gosh, like in episode 2 about using like Ziploc bags for clothes and things like that. But like my kids are to the point where their clothes almost don't fit in those.
Oh, I know. I know.
I have to upgrade. So that is a really, really good one. The other thing that is mentioned is if you're bringing pirate gear or any sort of costume gear for your theme night, consider doubling up the use of your costume pieces. So things like a white colored shirt can make a great costume piece, but can also be utilized for more formal wear. A red scarf that doubles as a belt or is it bandolier? Is that how you say that? I was like looking at that word.
The thing that Chewie wears like across. Yeah.
I love that. For pirate night, hoop earrings, if that's your style. A black or orange full skirt can be utilized in multiple places. But I love this next part. Was this from Cindy?
Oh, yes.
She said those stripy tights are going to be hard to wear every day, though. So, although tights don't take up too much space in your suitcase, luckily.
It's true. She has such a wonderful sense of humor. I love it. I think how you say this is check out Biagi, I think is how you say, or take off luggage for smaller, clever designs. So she's recommending a certain type of luggage, but yeah, definitely look for smaller luggage if you can. The rooms do have underbed storage in that you can unpack your clothes into drawers and hang them up and then put stuff underneath your bed. And we were able to do that pretty well with our family of 4, with our smaller kids, but we used every drawer that was in the room to do it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, especially depending on how often you plan to do laundry and things like that, that can be, you got to plan that accordingly. And yeah, rewear if you can rewear. And the other suggestion that she has is let Mary Blair be your inspiration when it comes to mix and match dressing. Less can really be more. So
Yeah, well, and it's true. I overpack every time I go on a Disney cruise. I bring way too much stuff. And
Right.
like the reality is like you're on vacation and like you're not gonna
Yeah.
like yes, you need some formal wear and you need some
Hmm.
pirate gear, but again, doubling things up and whatnot, and reusing stuff is so helpful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Narrow your shoe choices down to one dressy and one casual. If you really need pool flip flops, pack ones that aren't bulky. So just, I brought like 5 pairs of shoes on my like Mediterranean, like my European cruise. And I was like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking? I should have really listened to that advice. I don't think she gave that to me before I left.
No.
So
Well, to be fair, you also had packed for sightseeing around European cities, your cruise, and Disneyland Paris all in one suitcase. So like
yeah,
you needed shoes. You
yeah,
needed them.
it's true. I have a question from Ryan. Would I have to bring laundry detergent or can I buy some on the ship? They do have laundry detergent for purchase, but you can also choose to bring your own. I chose to bring mine from home because my kids have sensitivities to
Hmm.
stuff. So I tend to just pack it myself and bring it. But you can do either or, depending on if you want to pay
Yes.
for it there or not.
Just keep in mind limitations with liquid flying and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Make sure that you're packing it in the appropriate way if
Yeah.
you're bringing it with you.
If it's Tide Pods, make sure you're like putting extra, like double bagging it in case they burst in your suitcase because
Yes.
nobody needs that.
Yeah, that would not be a great way to start your vacation.
Clothes would smell good, but they'd be very soapy.
That's
So
true. Cindy also suggests if you didn't pack enough clothes, oh darn, you'll have to go shopping and bring back a souvenir. And she said, I also know people who pack old clothes and discard them as they go, buying something new to remember the trip by, which is like bananas to me that
I
people do
know.
that.
I've never heard of
can't.
that. So that's
No.
really an interesting idea.
Right, right. I read that earlier and I was like, I don't.
Like the disposable?
Okay. Right? Like, or are they just that old? Like, who?
I don't know.
You bring all of your like old workout clothes and like
But even if I wouldn't want to just throw them out, I feel like I would
right,
want to like donate them, and then
right.
you'd need to wash them before you donate them.
And
So
then you're
I
stuck
don't
still
know.
taking them back with you. Like
I
either
know.
way.
I don't know.
Okay, who knows?
But it's an
People
interesting
live
idea.
differently than we do, I
Yeah.
guess.
Also learn to look for available space and fill it. So shoes or undies or socks fit in the ridges where your roller bag handle disappears. So like under
Mhm.
the zipper area, then packing cubes on top of that flat space you've just created. So really like get very creative with your packing space. I think this is a great just general travel hack no matter
Yes.
where you're going. I use like my lounge flies. I stuff them full of all of my clothes.
Right. Right. Yeah, if you're bringing
And
multiple bags with you.
yeah, I usually take 3 or 4, and so I really have to use that
Yeah.
space and then that also keeps them from collapsing in my bag. So it's helpful.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And something that I do just want to mention that we didn't have on our list, but it just occurred to me that we should just remind you all that whatever you need for your first day, do not put in your suitcases that you are sending with
Right.
baggage services on your ship. Make sure you have that all with you. So that includes things like shoes, and you may need to get a little creative on what all you're bringing with you in that particular bag so that you're not stuck carrying a massive suitcase around the ship with you for your whole first day.
Yeah. Well, and it's only for a couple of hours, but like what
True.
you need for if you're going to go swimming, if you're going to do
Yep.
anything, if you have medication, like all that kind of stuff, make sure you
Yep.
don't put it in your checked bag because it takes a while for it to get to your stateroom. So
Yep.
keep that
Yep.
in mind. That's a good tip.
Yes.
And Christina also says here they have those laundry strips too that aren't liquid, and that's true. And those are actually
Hmm.
really helpful as well. So
Yes. And
yeah,
any of that stuff, I would still double bag it just in case. You don't want it, like Kate mentioned, you don't want to end up with soapy clothes that you can't wear and have to immediately go and do laundry your first day. Although there probably won't be any line in the laundry room if you have to do it on your first day aboard. You never know.
yeah, it's so true. Well, with that, I feel like that is most of our hacks that we have to
Yeah.
offer for this particular episode,
Yeah,
but
it
we're
was
not
like
done.
a solid hour of just
I
straight
know.
ticks and I know I can't talk again. Tips and tricks. I keep like smushing all my words together tonight. Whew,
Port
it's been a
side's
long
left,
day.
Jackie. Starboard's
Got
right.
it, Kate. Got it for now.
Oh my goodness. So we're not finished though, because we do have our regular Ask the Moms segment, which is part of
Yes.
our podcast. Every podcast we do, we get a question from our Mom Street listeners to answer that is usually off topic of what we're talking about for the episode. Jackie, do you want to read our question this
Yes,
evening?
because this one is all you, Kate.
Oh my goodness
So our
gracious.
question from our Mom Street community for our Ask the Moms this episode is, which Disneyland quick service is best for a large family of picky eaters?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
what do you think? Because there's a ton of quick service
There's
choices in
so
Disneyland.
many.
So if
Yeah.
you've got picky eaters, what are some good options?
Probably not something like Docking Bay 7 and stuff, where they've got kind of like weirder food. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would definitely stick. Jolly Holiday Bakery is a really good crowd pleaser. It's got a lot of like simple foods, from sandwiches and salads and mac and cheese. I think they have mac and cheese, but they've got like stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's like more kind of not bland, but like just appeals to a larger variety. And there's also
Yeah.
bakery items there too, and like snack packs for kids that have like the carrots and the yogurt and that kind of stuff. So that one I think feel like is a crowd pleaser, and it's not too taste palette wise like weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that one's a great one. In California Adventure, I would probably say Pim's Test Kitchen is one of my favorite places to eat. Their food is like a little bit different, but there's a, like PB&J and stuff like that. There's stuff that's like
Yeah.
somewhat normal, even if it looks kind of different because they have like blue bread or something, But
Right.
it's fun then for the kids that they might want to eat it because it looks really cool. It's the challenge there is seating. Seating is
Yeah.
awful there, awful, really awful. So have somebody like stocking a table while you're getting your mobile order. Make sure you mobile order. Don't wait in that horrible, like really long line. Everybody waits in the
Yes.
line. I'm like, what are you doing?
Are there
Why are
any
you
good
wasting your
seating
life?
alternatives like around the corner from there that you can recommend? Or is it really
It would take a
just,
long time to walk to
yeah,
it. So no, that's really just kind of where it is. An alternative though, good place to eat, I'd say, in California Adventure specifically, Flo's VA Cafe has a lot of like good options for everybody. Their menu's not as good as it used to be, but it
mm,
has like kind of standard stuff that I think even picky eaters would enjoy. And there's a lot of seating there. Don't eat like you can if you want to. You can eat wherever you want, but I would recommend sitting around the back side because you can actually watch the Radiator Springs cars go by. So that
oh,
one's really
fun.
fun there. But yeah, I think those would be my main recommendations for picky eaters because I'm thinking like the rest of the places there, the stuff is either a little bit more exotic or
Hmm.
I think Tiana's is really good, but it has a lot of kind of more spicy flavors and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I think yeah, Jolly Holiday Bakery in Disneyland, and then Pim's Test Kitchen. You could also do probably Smoke Jumpers Grill if they wanted burgers and chicken strips and stuff like that. I think that's usually there. So,
Yeah.
in I think California Adventure probably has a few more picky eater friendly places than
Yeah.
Disneyland proper. But
Yeah, and keep in mind that depending on what it is you're ordering, you can always ask the cast member if you can get it plain. So if
yeah,
it's, something that if it's a pasta that you just want with just plain noodles or, things like that, if you've
oh
got a
yeah,
really picky eater, be sure to ask the cast member before you order or, there's usually at quick service restaurants, you'll find almost always there's a cast member outside. So feel free to ask them about what options they have if you've got really particular kiddos or allergies or any of those types of things too.
yeah. And I also say a secondary place in Disneyland is Pizza Planet. Like I don't like love their food, but they have some options that are great in terms of like
Hmm.
pasta and pizza and like stuff that picky eaters might
Yeah.
be inclined to eat. So that might be
Yes.
another option as well.
Yes.
Again, mobile order. Make sure you mobile order there too.
Yes. And as always, if you have a kiddo that's super specific and you're really worried about it, take some snacks in with you. Disney is really great about allowing you to bring food into the parks. You can't bring glass containers or any alcoholic
Loose
beverages
ice.
or loose ice.
Loose
But
ice.
if you, but if you have things outside of that, which hopefully you do, if you're looking at a picky eater kiddo or yourself that's a picky eater, just take some of your go-to foods in with you so that way you have at least something if you struggle to find something at one of the quick service restaurants at any of the parks. Just have a little snack with you or know where you can maybe purchase a snack inside of a gift shop or something like that. They've got things that are similar to like goldfish crackers and those types of things, pretzels, those types of things as well.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my main recommendations for Disneyland for quick service with kids and picky eaters specifically. Like obviously, I have other recommendations for other food. There's just so much good
Yes.
food there, though.
Right.
You won't have a challenge finding something I think
Yeah.
people will eat. There's lots of restaurants. So
Yeah, for sure. Totally. I've never been there, and I already know that there's like a million to choose from.
It's
So,
great. Yeah,
yeah.
there's lots of places to eat.
Right. As always, we love hearing from you guys. So thank you to those of you who have submitted questions for our Ask the Moms segment. If you've got a question that you want answered in a future Ask the Moms, please send it our way. We always love to hear from you guys, and we are here to help. You can send that to us on any of our social media outlets. We are at Mom Street USA on all of them. You can find us via email, momstreetusa@gmail.com. So any of those ways are perfect. You can reach out on our Discord. We are a member. We have our own special channel for Mom Street USA on our good friend Kirk at Walrus Carp, his Discord. So the link to that is in our social media bios, wherever you may follow us if you so choose. And do keep in mind, we are on pretty much all of the platforms. So the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTubes, the TikToks, all the places. So if you're not following us everywhere, please give us a follow, because that helps us be able to reach more people and share us with someone maybe who might need some help planning their next trip.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that about wraps up this episode, though. Yeah, Jackie?
It does. I think we did it. That was short and sweet for us.
I know. We weren't long-winded this evening.
No, we did good. We stayed on task. I'm so proud of us. Kate and I just met this past week, and we're talking already about like the rest of this year and different topics we're going to cover. So we're excited. We've got some good things planned, and we should talk about that briefly before we hop off of here.
Yes, let's do that.
So for our next podcast episode, since we have now wrapped up this series, we're on to something completely different. So our next topic is kind of fun. We're going to be talking all things tickets for Disney for the parks. So park hoppers, digital tickets, cards, magic bands, reservations, all of those things. That is coming your way for our next podcast episode. So stick around for that. Make sure, like I said, you are following us and paying attention to what we're posting so you know when to find us next.
Yeah, it'll be great. And we have some really fun things coming this summer too, especially when it comes to, Disneylands and Disney Worlders and Disneyland and like all kinds of other stuff that you'll really, I think, enjoy, that we get questions about all the time. That's our goal, is to try to get you the information that you guys tend to ask for. So
yeah, and we're going to circle back on a couple topics, waiting in line and flying with kids and things that we've like maybe briefly mentioned, but haven't really like done a deep dive on, to give you guys all of our tips and ideas. So we're going to revisit some of that later in the year. We've got a lot of fun things planned. And again, as always, if you guys have ideas like what was just suggested in our chat, please send them our way. We always love to give you guys the information that you need. Kate and I can talk to each other about Disney all day long, but the whole purpose of Mom Street USA is to give you guys the information and all of the necessities that you need to make your trip a little easier and a little less stressful, and make you feel prepared, whether it's Disneyland, Disney World, the cruises, a little bit of Disneyland Paris thrown in there. So we're just here to help you guys ultimately.
Yes. Well, with that being said, Jackie, should we wrap up this episode?
Yes. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of Mom Street USA. We hope that our entire cruise line series gave you guys some good tips to help you plan your future Disney cruise and make it a little bit more magical. And we are excited to kind of head back to land for our next episodes and head back to the Disney parks. But Kate, do you have any last words of wisdom for the cruise lines before we head back to shore?
Port side's left, Jackie. Starboard's right.
Got it, Kate. Aye, aye, Captain. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, everybody. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.